If you feel like the black sheep of your family, the odd one out, then this video is for you. I am doing this video today because it's post-Christmas. Just spent the last couple of days with some family, and I talk about family dynamics a lot in my work and all of the conditioning and programming that happens in the traditional, nuclear family unit. And I know that some of you need to hear what it is I have to say today. So I just spent the last couple of days with some family for Christmas and had a really beautiful time with, it was a couple of my sisters were there. One of my sisters wasn't able to make it, and a couple of my nephews. So like all of my nibblings and siblings were not there, but we saw a pretty good turnout, and it was really nice. And throughout these last couple of days, it's just really had me reflecting on relationships and how I show up in these spaces, and just all the growth that I've experienced over these last several years of me being deep in this work, being deep in the spiritual journey, and also getting to see where I still have work to do, where I'm still triggered, where I'm still energetically or emotionally tender, like the tender spots that I have. And all of that is valuable feedback, and it's valuable intel. And that's what I want to help you understand by the end of this video. I hope that you understand this by the end of this video. So kind of like what I just said a moment ago, family is where we are programmed. Like that is the ground zero of our programming, where we are installed with our sense of self, our beliefs, the way that we see the world, and how we learn to interact with the world. All of that happens within our family structure. And a lot of us struggle, especially if you are sort of like the black sheep, or maybe you're more into spirituality than your family is. You have a different consciousness than your family does, a higher consciousness, whatever that means. And I'm not saying this as like value judgments or saying that one state of mind or one consciousness is better than the other. That's not what I believe at all. Everything serves its purpose and everything has its place in the grand design. And so it's not to say that if your family isn't on that frequency that they're not good people or you're better than them, because I don't feel that way. But it does create some tension, or it can create polarity or opposition when you come from a very different lens than your family does, especially if you're the only one coming from that lens. And so, I want to give an example of something that I struggle with in my family. I struggle with the fact that I don't eat animals. So I don't struggle with that I don't eat animals. I struggle with the fact that I don't eat animals, but my family does eat animals. And it's sort of like a tender spot for me every time we get together, because we will gather on the traditional holidays like Thanksgiving or Christmas. And those holidays are so centered around food. And it's very difficult for me to, be in a home where everybody's cooking different types of animals. Like there's a turkey, there's a ham, there's, ham hocks in the greens, and there's mac and cheese made with all the dairy, and like none of the desserts are vegan friendly, or, any of those things where I have to kind of like make my own food. Or if one of my sisters is there who does a lot of cooking, like she's really good about accommodating that. Which is really nice. And nobody ever makes me feel weird about the fact that I don't eat meat. I know in some families, people will make fun of you, or they'll, dangle meat in front of your face, or judge you for it, or treat you like you're weird. And nobody in my family does that. It's just that for me, being around that is really hard. Like looking on the stove and seeing a dead turkey on the stove bothers me. Seeing a huge chunk of ham on the countertop bothers me. And I let go of that and show up in these gatherings anyway, despite the fact that it just bothers me so much. And what it's been bringing up for me these last couple of days, and I've talked about this with my family in the past, is like, we got to start finding new ways to gather. We have to start finding new ways to engage with each other, because for me, getting together and food being the focal point, and the food being like a bunch of dead animals, is just really hard for me. And it feels like a huge energetic and spiritual and integral compromise for me. And so we were having conversations about that, of like, what are some other things that we can do? And, you know, my sisters have been really great about being open to other ideas. And I'm bringing up veganism because to me, what I've recognized is there's like a huge disconnect in values, and the values that I have versus the values that my family has. We are able to coexist if I, you know, sort of like compromise and say, even though I don't agree with this, I'm going to show up and engage and also bite my tongue about a lot of things, because, you know, it will create tension, or it can create arguments or chaos in the family. But something that happened today that just really bothered me is, you know, like, I don't kill, like, not only do I not eat animals, I don't wear animals, I don't participate in any animal exploitation, I don't kill insects. So I don't kill insects. Well, I do kill mosquitoes, but only if they're coming after me. I don't like seek out mosquitoes or anything like that. But for the most part, I don't kill insects. And one type of insect that I really love are spiders. And I know that a lot of people have a lot of, like, they have fears around spiders. And I get it. They have 8 legs. They're mysterious. They're incredible predators when it comes to capturing bugs and things like that. I get why people are afraid of spiders. I still get unnerved by spiders, but I don't kill them. And what it comes down to is just this fundamental ethos that I have, that another being's life is not necessarily less important than mine. Now, if it comes between like saving a child and saving a spider, obviously I'm going to like save the child. So there's that element there. But what I mean is this idea that because something exists and I don't like that it exists, I have the right to then take its life. And that is the mentality that I think a lot of people have around insects and other animals. And it's something that just really bothers me. And there was, at my sister's place, there's, up on her patio, there was a spider up in the corner. And everybody was talking about the spider, like, oh my God, there's spiders up there. We need to get rid of the spider. And I'm just like, leave the spider alone. The spider isn't bothering you. They are up in their web. They built this beautiful web and they're just chilling. The spider picked the perfect spot for their web because the porch light brings all these bugs in and the spider is eating good, which I respect the hustle. And you know, and I said something about it, and one of my sisters was like, well, the spider's not going to be there much longer. And I'm just like, what are you going to do to the spider? Like, well, I'm not going to kill it. I'm just going to, like, you know, relocate. I'm like, but why? Like, why can't it exist where it's existing? It's not going to come in the house and bite you. It's literally in its own home. And it's actually helping you by killing the mosquitoes and killing all the other bugs that are around your house. It's helping you. There's an exchange that's happening here in this relationship. This is a very reciprocal relationship. You leave the spider alone, the spider takes care of all the pests that you don't have to worry about. And I came outside this morning to move my car, and I looked up in the corner where that spider was, and it's gone. The spider is gone, the web is gone, and it just really upsets me. And I'm sitting here getting emotional about this spider, but it just bothers me so much. And, you know, and I don't think that I'm weird for feeling this way. I don't think that I am a strange person or a weirdo for feeling upset that my sister went outside and killed this spider, because you can't reach the spider without like taking a broom or something like that. And I haven't had a conversation with them about it, but I'm just like, it just really bothers me. And so it's just something that I want to talk about today, of like that feeling of having a mentality or having values that are not mirrored by the people in your life. And then what is the medicine here? Because for me, and what I teach, it's always about what is the gift here? What is the medicine here? There is something specific for you in this experience that's to help you grow and help you evolve. And I don't know, like when it comes to the spider, I don't know exactly what that lesson is for me. But what I also want to share with you guys is that the triggers and things that happen around your family members, those are opportunities for you to look at yourself and for you to see where you can grow, where you can evolve, where you can soften, where you can set more boundaries, where you can decide, you know what, this isn't the environment that I want to be in, so I'm going to go no contact, whatever it is that you need to do for your journey, that's connected to the unique dynamic that you have with your family. That's whatever it is. And so I wanted to just kind of talk about this because I'm still trying to determine what the medicine and the lesson is for me. But there was also an experience that happened yesterday with one of my siblings where we got into a fight over Monopoly, over a board game, which is totally normal sibling shit. Like, I'm not saying like, oh my God, we got in a fight. It's not a big deal. But it helped me see yesterday because I got really upset in this argument. I got really triggered by it and I was not able to stay grounded. I reverted back to like a childhood version of myself. Like my inner child was the one that came up and was sort of running the show in that moment. And I got to reflect on that and got to see what the underlying thread of, or the seed of that trigger was, that I get to sit with and process and see where I get to shift and where I get to grow and where I get to evolve. And one of the things that I've loved about the experience that I've had of being on this spiritual journey and, you know, being sort of the first person in my family to do work of this depth and of this magnitude, and really being the only person in my immediate family who is doing this deep work. Like I have siblings that have been in therapy and things like that, but nobody is really doing like the type of deep excavation shadow work that it is that I'm doing. And I get it because this is not for the weak. Like this work is not for the weak, and it's not for, you know, somebody who's like only half committed. Like once you begin this process, everything in your life shifts, which is why so many people don't do this work. And so it's been a really beautiful journey of me seeing just where I'm at and where I get to grow and where I'm still triggered and what part of my inner child still needs love and what part of my inner child still needs healing. Has been such an incredible part of this experience. And so I wanted to share that with you, that if you're struggling in your family, if you're feeling like the oddball out or you're feeling like the black sheep, I want you to remember that your family is design, like part of the design, like the divine design of the family unit is to serve as a mirror for you and your journey of evolution. And so whatever your dynamic is in your family, what your family members are mirroring to you is where you can give yourself more love or give yourself more grace, or where you can set stronger boundaries, or where you can decide that maybe this dynamic doesn't work for you at all and it's time to cut all of them off. You know, maybe that is how deep it is for you in your journey and in your process. And so this is also why, you know, going home to visit family can feel like you're getting transported back in time. Like I just said, that in that experience with one of my siblings yesterday, I was not fully present. I was transported back to my inner child, whatever that wounding was that I still need to integrate and process when I'm out of the environment and I can be on my own again. That's what's happening, is those old wounds of yours are being called to the surface to be looked at. And that's the gift of your family. This is what part of their role is to show you who you are, like to really show you who you are, because nobody can trigger you and impact you the way that your family members can, because they are a part of your assembly, like what was installed in you, the mechanisms that you operate off of. Your family was integral in creating those mechanisms. And so thank you, family, for doing your job in my evolution. Thank you for being exactly who you need to be in order for me to see who I am so that I can grow and evolve and shift and soften into more grace and empathy and compassion and all of the things that I have decided for myself are priorities for me and are there to help strengthen my integrity and my own journey. And what it might be for you might be different than what it is for me. But it's so interesting to sit here and to see that, to look up and see where that spider was living and to see that it's gone, and just feeling like taking it personally, that's something that I'm sitting with, is how personally I am taking it, because why couldn't you just wait until I left? I knew she was going to do it, but you couldn't even wait till I left to do it. You had to do it. And I don't even know if it was my sister who did it. It might've been my mom, who did it, because my mom and I, we have contention about that, because she's done that multiple times in my presence, where she will purposely kill a spider in front of me, knowing that it bothers me. And the lack of respect and the lack of care for my feelings around it is something that I struggle with a lot. And there are times when I feel like it's malicious. That this bothers me and you don't care at all. It doesn't matter to you that this is something that really hurts my feelings and will make me cry, and you will do it anyway. And so that lack of care, that lack of empathy, and that lack of compassion being extended to these creatures is something that feels really hard for me to reconcile, especially coming from a Black American family where, in Black families, there's so many conversations about justice and racism and violence and slavery and, subjugation and all of these things that Black people have such an emotional response to as it relates to racism or white supremacy, or what they think is, the racism of this country, of America. But then those same ideologies that they are pushing back against, that they think are bringing harm to the quote unquote Black community, they have those same mentalities against other life forms. They have no problem killing other life forms because they make them uncomfortable, or because they feel like they don't belong there, or they're scared of it, or they have no problem with the subjugation and the oppression of animals that they eat. They have no problem with slavery when it comes to animals, and the disconnect and the hypocrisy and the inconsistency of integrity when it comes to those ideals is something that I really struggle with. And it's very difficult to have those conversations, because it creates, there's a lot of cognitive dissonance there. And then when it's brought up to the surface, it can create conflict or resistance, because a lot of people don't want to acknowledge where they are being inconsistent in their ideals, or where they are being hypocrites about the things that they say are important to them, but then they go and do those same behaviors, or think that they're justified in doing those same behaviors to other beings that they think are lesser than them. And so that's just a fundamental difference that I have with some members of my family, and some of the things that I really struggle with. And my work and my job has been to, decide what am I okay with? Where do I set boundaries? Where do I say I'm willing to gather under these circumstances, but I'm not willing to gather under these circumstances because of what these circumstances entail? And there have been periods where I would not come to Thanksgiving, or I would not come to Christmas, because I'm just I don't want to be around a bunch of dead animals. I don't want to be sitting here while you guys are grilling flesh and having to smell like barbecued flesh for 2 or 3 days, because that's what everybody is choosing to eat. And so it's just giving me, there's always opportunities to self-reflect and investigate how I'm choosing to show up in my life and in my journey and in my growth is in conflict with the structure of my family dynamic. And that's where a lot of you are. And this is why I'm talking about this and sort of telling, some of my stories. And I'm just looking at my notes. And it's also, remembering that it's not your responsibility to get your family to change or to be different. Like, I don't tell my family, like, don't eat these things or why are you eating? I don't question it because nobody has asked me what I thought. If I'm asked my opinion, if I'm asked what I think, then I will share that. But nobody asks me what I think, or nobody asks me, well, Dree, why are you vegan? Like, why did you go vegan? Like, they've never asked me that. And so the lack of curiosity tells me that there's really no opening to have those deeper discussions. But if there was curiosity, then of course I would talk about it. Thankfully, I don't feel judged or I'm not mistreated because of it. And people do what they can to accommodate me. Like, they make sure that, you know, they don't offer me things, or, you know, they ask like, hey, like, can you, like my sister asked me, yes, she was like, can you eat Greek yogurt? Because she loves to make these Greek yogurt parfaits. And I was just like, no, I cannot eat Greek yogurt. She was like, okay, I thought so, but I want to double check. And I appreciate that. I really, really appreciate that. But you don't need, like, the point that I'm making is that it's not your responsibility to get your family to change. It's not your responsibility to help your family grow or to help your family evolve. That's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to use them to help you grow. What's happening in this interaction? What's happening in this conflict? What is the trigger here that is helping me recognize more about myself and where I can help myself and where I can heal myself and where I can grow myself? That's the purpose of family. Like, I don't go into any of my family events thinking, oh, I'm going to like change their minds about eating animals, or I'm going to change their mind about killing spiders. Now, I am clear, like, do not do this in front of me. Like, don't kill that spider in front of me because I'm going to be very, very upset. But I also can't do anything about the fact that this is her home. So if she wants to kill the spider that makes her feel scared when she leaves her front door and walks down the steps, there's nothing that I can do about that. And that's also her right to do that. And so it's just being in the acceptance of it all. Like, acceptance is such a huge part of maintaining a relationship with your family, if that's something that you want to do, while also just being clear that who I am and how I show up in the world doesn't have to be impacted by the way that the people closest to me show up in the world. There's room for those things to coexist. Or if I just decide that I cannot abide by something, then I don't have to. I can set those boundaries and create distance in the way that I need to for my own peace of mind. And you have the right to do that, you know, as well. And so I hope that what I shared today helped you, of like me talking about like my journey and like the struggles, like the thing that just happened today, where I was just like, I looked up and I saw like the beautiful, intricate, perfect web just gone, like destroyed. And like this idea that we can just destroy things that are in our way is something that just, it just bothers me so much. But it's also for me to deal with. It's not like I'm not going to go have a conversation with anybody about it. I'm not going to go say anything about it. It's for me to deal with. It's my responsibility to take the tenderness and the sensitivity that I'm feeling right now and do what it is that I need to do to process this and move to the other side of having more compassion or empathy, or just saying, you know, maybe I'll decide if you guys are going to do this, then I don't want to be here anymore. That's a possibility that is available to me, but it's not about them being different. It's not about them changing. It's not about them growing or evolving in the way that I think that they need to evolve or grow, because that is not, to me, that's not growth. That's me being controlling. And it's not my job. It's not my job. One of the things I love to say, not my monkey, not my circus. Not my monkey, not my circus. And so I'd like to hear how, you know, what it is that I shared today like resonated with you. How are you feeling? How has it been being, you know, if you feel like you're the black sheep of your family, if you feel like you're the oddball in a lot of ways, where did you spend time with them this holiday, and what was that like, and what came up for you? And do you agree with what it is that I've shared today about changing their minds or being the catalyst for their growth is not your job or your responsibility? Or are you still in that space where you're thinking that you have the responsibility of helping your family grow or helping your family evolve. Because if that's the place that you're in right now, can let you know you'll be better off just letting them do their own thing and creating your own boundaries that are not relying upon them being different people. So drop down in the comments. Let me know how this video landed for you. Let me know how you're feeling or how you received what it is that I had to say. And thank you so much for being here. And I will see you tomorrow.